What is up, YouTube? And welcome to episode 49 of the Get Geeked Podcast. We are back. This is gonna be a pretty short one, only because I have food coming. I am doing the good thing, the right thing during this whole quarantine thing, and I got delivery. And I got delivery from a local small business place, helping out, keeping everybody, keeping money in everybody's business that needs help. Because, it's the best thing to do. All the major places have, people buying food from them already, like McDonald's and Taco Bell and stuff like that. But, during times like these, all these small businesses around us is going to need the most help from all of us. So, if you're out there and you're hungry, if you need food or something like that, and you have the extra cash to spend, and if you're using Postmates or Uber Eats or whatever you're using, Grubhub, try to order from some place that's local, like a small business or something. Help them out. It's the only way that they're going to be able to keep up and running through these weird times that we're having right now. So that's basically what I did. I actually got ramen coming from Ramen Hub in Pokey, which is a local place that just barely opened here in Long Beach. So yeah, and I've been doing this lately. I even went to a small taco place, a small burger joint, Chinese food spot. Just local places that needs the most help because they're not getting that much foot traffic, and a lot of people don't know that they're still open and that they're taking orders for to go and stuff like that. So yeah, do what you can to help out the local small joints. And I've been doing that, and I did it today. And I believe from what it says on my Postmates, it's supposed to be here in about 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to try to keep this podcast to around 30 minutes so that I could be there to get my food when it comes, right? So I want to start it off by saying, I know I did the review of the Tiger King last week, and I was talking all this trash on the Dr. Bhagavan or whatever his name was. But after that, I've seen some interviews that he's done with a bunch of other podcasters out there, and come to realize he's the better one out of all of them. He's running his sanctuary kind of correctly. He's not killing these baby tigers like everyone's saying he is. And he doesn't have 9 wives like the documentary's suggesting that he does. He's just a single dude that's running a sanctuary, and these are all his employees and stuff. So he's actually a pretty, I wouldn't say normal. He's still not normal in my eyes. That guy is pretty eccentric and pretty weird, but he's more normal than the rest of the other cast of that documentary. So, I'm going to say my bad. Sorry, Doc Bhagavan. I guess you're okay in my books now. From what I heard, at least from what he says, to tell the truth, we all don't really know what, we all really don't really know him, so we don't know, but, from the interviews that I've seen, he's not an evil cult leader, basically. So, I'm a retract what I said about him from the last episode that we did, and I'm gonna give him the okay in my books, I guess. And if you want to see those interviews, look up Andrew Schultz on YouTube. He did an interview with Andrew Schultz, and then he also did an interview with Theo Vaughn. So look up Theo Vaughn. I want to say it's this past weekend is his podcast. Look that up because he did those 2 shows, and he kind of just reiterates what he said on, the individual shows. So kind of saying the same thing. So if you want to see Andrew Schultz's interview, which I feel like is a little bit more fun, or Theo Vaughn, which is, it depends on what kind of humor you like or whatever, but I feel like Andrew Schultz did a better interview than Theo Vaughn did, but that's just my point of view. So, but you guys, up to you guys, if you choose what you want to pick to watch. So yeah, even still though, everything else I said about everybody else on that documentary, everything else that I said last week, I'm gonna keep other than what I said about Dr. Bagwad. Other than that, the opening song that you guys just heard is a snippet of a song from another group of friends that I had. They had a band called Overthrow. That was one of their songs from their demo disc. Let me see. I want to say it is. Oh, it's called Masochistic Affection. I believe that's what I played. I forget because I have two songs of theirs right now. I have Masochistic Affection, or No, It's Not an Option. But I believe I played Masochistic Affection. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. I have bad short-term memory. But yes, just wanted to get that out there. If you like local music, I don't know if the demo is still out there available anywhere else. But yeah, Overthrow. I don't know if they even still have stuff up. Although, actually, Overthrow, if you look up Overthrow on YouTube, it's kind of hard to find. But they do have their entire demo disc in video form on YouTube. So search for that. It's like a basically metalcore band. But yeah, it's out there, and I don't know. I don't think the original recording is on that. That's the new recording that they did with the newer singer that I don't know too well, because I know the band with the original two singers, but then they got one singer left, and then a new singer came on, and the recording with the new singer is what's on YouTube. I actually have the original demo disc with the original two singers. I mean, if you guys like what you hear and you guys kind of want it, hit me up here on YouTube. I might be able to send you MP3s or something. I don't know. But other than that, I believe what I said, what I was going to do from last episode was a review of Jay and Silent Bob's Reboot. And I did watch the movie. And I gotta say, I mean, I've been a fan of Kevin Smith already ever since he's done Clerk. I mean, I did miss like the middle flops that he did when he became big, like when he started becoming big, the stuff he did with Ben Affleck and stuff like that. Like, I didn't watch that. I didn't watch like Jersey Girl or stuff like that, but everything else that he did, from Clerks, Mallrats, all the indie stuff that he did, I freaking love and I'm a fan of. I love Dogma. That was like, good stuff there. And I haven't seen a lot of his his return to indie style stuff yet. But I do want to check them out. I know he's done like 3 movies now with his daughter, so I kind of want to check those out too as well. But give me some time. I'll watch it when I can. And maybe I'll do a review of those as well once I've seen them. But for Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, I mean, it's the same comedy, a little bit more grown-up comedy that he uses. But it's the same style that he's been doing. And it's just, I love it. Like, it's what I'm used to. He even like pulls at your heartstring a little bit more on this one, especially if you watch it and you get to, if you have like a weird relationship with your parents and stuff like that, it kind of pulls at your heartstring even more. But yeah, it's so good. It's like raunchy, weird comedy. Even like the inserts of all these famous actors that he's become friends with, and the way he puts them into the movie is creative enough to where it's not jarring and it's not pulling you out of the movie. Like, it actually works well, woven into the story of what he's trying to tell, and it's just a dumb rehashed story of what he's already done. That's basically what it is, because they are basically doing the same thing they did in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, but but then insert like all these new characters, and even the some of the returning characters are surprising and hilarious, especially when he sees. There's the part where they go to the movie, the burger joint movies, and he sees his ex lover. Jay sees his ex lover on the TV screen, and what happens there? It's hilarious. I started chuckling. I just couldn't stop chuckling until the scene was over. It I mean, the way he does his comedy is a weird thing about the way he does his comedy. It always gets me. I don't know what it is. It may be that because our wavelengths of like thinking is a little bit almost the same. Because I mean, I've followed the dude ever since I've seen his movies. I even watched some of his like college tour speaking things, you know, so some of his shows that he has on YouTube that you can find on YouTube. And you know, the way he thinks is kind of like the same way that I think, and he's into the same things that I'm into. So like we kind of have the same wavelength of thinking and thought. So I think that's why his comedy hits me in a way that it does, because I've tried to show other people his other movies, and a lot of them are just received as, oh yeah, that's cool, it's okay, or they just flat out didn't like it. So, and then it leaves me a bit like perplexed and surprised, like how come, like why, what was it? And you know, but as I get older and I realize, you know, people think differently. Movies are subjective. Am I even saying that word right? I can't talk. But yeah, so I hope you know what I'm trying to say. The taste of movies are different from person to person. Like there's another movie that's not a Kevin Smith movie, but Boondock Saints. When I first watched it, I loved it, but I don't know, like I like these weird, cheesy, campy, shoot 'em up kind of like gangster type movies, right? And when I saw Boondock Saints, I was like, it blew me away. I was like, wow, it's kind of like, you know, short, straight to the point, and campy and all that stuff, and just a lot of shoot 'em up and a little bit of comedy here and there, right? So it was like perfect for my taste, and I loved the movie. And then I'm like telling everybody else, I'm like, yo, yeah, check out this movie, Boondock Saints, check it out, watch it, it's so good, I loved it. And then a few that are like kind of in my line of thinking thought the same, but a lot of other people who saw it were just like, what, like that movie was trash, you know? So I'm like, and then so then you start to realize, like, okay, so people's taste in movies are all different. You might like one thing, another person might not like that. So, and I feel like Kevin Smith's comedy is just the same. Like, it'll hit certain people in a good way, and it'll hit certain people in as, oh, that's so cheesy and cringy and stuff like that. But to me, I love it. It hits me right in the funny bones, and every time I watch any of his movies, I laugh, or it, you know, piques my interest and keeps me interested all the way through. And this Jay and Silent Bob Reboot did just that, you know, and it added on another level to where he could actually do another movie if he wanted to, because it has a continuation it has a doorway to a continuation if he wanted to do a continuation, which is perfect, because I don't want to see him stop making movies. Now, I hear rumors that he is trying to or planning to do a Mallrats 2, which I would love if he did, because I love Mallrats. It used to be one of my favorite movies ever. Just a little history. I did used to work at a video store, and I would watch movie after movie, and a lot of times, a lot of them were just not, I didn't like. But every time I found a Kevin Smith movie, I just pop it in and watch it, and I loved it. And Mallrats was one of them. Ever since I found it and played it, I just kept on rewatching it, along with like Chasing Amy and Clerks and movies to that like. Even when Dogma came out, I watched it like a bunch of times. If not the same as like I do watch like comic book movies. Every time a comic book movie comes out that I like, I go to the theaters at least like 3 or 4 times to watch it if it's really good. And the only bad thing, and it kind of sucks because at that time I didn't have that much money to do that type of stuff, is that when I found these Kevin Smith movies, I couldn't see them in the theater. I was watching them on either VHS or DVD. But I mean, at least I bought those though, so I kind of, helped out in a little bit in his career, Because I mean, I wish that I was there when it was out in theaters and I had the money to go see it when it was out in theaters, but sadly that wasn't the case. Because I mean, by the time I found his movies, I was working at the video store, and that was the way I got introduced into him. And by that time, those movies were not running in theaters anymore. So all I could do was just watch the VHSs at the video shop, and then once I got money, I would buy the DVDs for my collection. Sadly, though, during one of my moves, because I moved around a lot, I lost that collection, which kind of sucks because I had almost all of it. I had Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I had Clerks. I had Mallrats. I had Chasing Amy. I had Dogma. But I don't know what happened. I believe on like one or two of them I let friends borrow them, which is if you have a collection of a certain type of movie that you like, do not allow friends to borrow it, because then that's how you kind of lose it. And I learned that the hard way. I mean, it's sad to say, and I know that people out there, I know that's, you guys might have friends that would not do that, but it's just a suggestion. If you love a certain collection that you have, to me, I found I'm not gonna let anybody else borrow it. I'll give them a copy or digital copy or something like that, but I'm not gonna let anybody borrow any other of my collections anymore. Only because it's hard to get back. You can't get those. That's how I lost those two movies. When it goes out of your hands, you just don't know what happens to them. A little bit of a tangent. That's how my brain works. I'm sorry, guys. I'll go on one topic and I get to another. But back to Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, or not Strikes Back. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Grade A movie. I loved it. I loved the humor. I loved the inserts of all the famous friends that he has. And there's cameos. All the cameos that he has are just so good, and the comedy that they bring out is so good. A lot of it didn't even feel forced. And even the insert of his daughter, he did it correctly. And it was kind of weird to see that Kevin Smith's daughter is playing Jay's daughter in the movie, and then Jay's daughter is playing Ben Affleck's daughter in the movie as well. So it was a little bit confusing, but it worked. You figure it out. They do it in a way to where you understood who was who in the movie, which was perfect. So all in all, a fun slapstick time with a little bit of heartstring pulls. It made me kind of water my eyes a little bit. I didn't fully cry. He didn't have that heart-touching moment where I fully cried, but I did tear up, not tear up, but my eyes watered just a little bit. Because other than that, because the way he did it was he got to that point, but then he insert a joke, and so it kind of pulled you back from the whole crying thing, and you were still more happy than wanting to cry, but not in a sad way, but more of a happy way. It was one of those happy tear up moments, which is hard to find in movies nowadays, because a lot of times when you watch a tearjerker, it's just a straight up sad cry. And the thing is, I don't even mind crying, but a lot of the stuff that I've seen where I cried at, it's been super sad stuff. Logan was super sad. I cried in that movie. Coco was very sad. What else was there? I know there's a bunch of other stuff. There's a lot of indie movies that I cried at too. So but these were happy tears, and then he inserts a joke so that you kind of don't go into that whole sadness part. But I give this movie, I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. It's almost perfect. There was just a few little things where I felt like he rushed it a little bit. I felt like the movie could have just been a little bit longer so that it kind of, you let the whole scene breathe and stuff. But I felt like it was a bit fast, and certain scenes were just a tiny bit rushed. But other than that, it was almost perfect. At least for me, it was almost perfect. So if you kind of have my sense of humor, or if you know that you kind of like Kevin Smith's library of stuff that he's made, then you'll love Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. It is a good watch, perfect watch. I loved it. So if you were in my same mindset that you love all of his collections of stuff that he's done, minus a few of the small things in the middle, then I think you'll probably think the same way that I do, and you'll love it too. And yeah, 9.5 out of 10, almost perfect. Good movie. It is on digital release right now, so if you want to like rent it off of YouTube, or you might even be able to find it at a Redbox or something like that. Actually, I don't know if Redbox is out yet, because usually it goes on digital first for like a couple of weeks before it gets to Redbox. But I mean, if you can and you're able to, just go to YouTube, order it. It's $5, and you get to watch it for one whole day. Unless you want to buy it, then it's like $10, I believe, and you could keep the digital file. But it's not that much money. Help them out. Good team. I love it. Love the movie, and I believe you guys like it too. So there you go. Perfect movie. And that was my thoughts on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Other than that, I know what I want to talk about, because from the last 2 days, Wrestlemania happened. And I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans like I am. I'm a bit of a wrestling fan. I'm not too I'm not like deep into it, but I know more than the average watcher. And it's weird because this was a weird first time ever WrestleMania that was like this, because they did a WrestleMania basically without a crowd. And, reasons why, of course, the Rona. The Rona made it to where they had to do this whole WrestleMania. They had to pre-tape it too, which was kind of crazy, because it was like, I kudos to them to keep it all under wraps. Not like nothing came out, nothing was leaked on what was happening. So, but it was crazy because the way they did it was kind of pretty good. Like, and it surprised me because their TV shows, Raw and SmackDown, I felt like didn't do so well without the crowd. Whereas if you're the type of person like me who watches WWE and AEW, I've noticed that AEW did their matches without a crowd much better than WWE did their shows without a crowd. Hold on. But yeah, so like, AEW does their recording without a crowd so much better. Like, I love the episodes of Dynamite that didn't have a crowd, but I try to watch the SmackDown and Raw that didn't have a crowd, and it just didn't capture me as much as AEW did. But here's what I gotta say about WrestleMania. I felt like they did it pretty good for a big event where this is like the culmination of all the storylines, like, and it happens here, and this is the big event, right? I thought they were gonna kind of fail at it, just seeing the way Raw and SmackDown went, but it kept me drawn in. I was watching every fight, and every fight was interesting, and the storylines was cool, and so like they pulled it off, and I was really surprised that they pulled it off, because some of their final matches, like the Undertaker versus AJ Styles, they did almost like a movie like type fight where it wasn't in a ring or anything. They did like a basically like movie shot, and I thought that was pretty cool and interesting. Although I felt like they were kind of cheating and using Matt Hardy style of matches, and it, even though I liked it, it made me feel like they kind of betrayed Matt Hardy, because that's what Matt Hardy wanted to do, and that's kind of the reason why Matt Hardy left, because they didn't let him do those type of matches. But and then they see now doing it now, because Triple H even came out in an interview saying like that's what they're probably gonna do now. Like they might do more matches like from now on. Like they're gonna do more matches like that from now on because it did so well. And it made me think like if they had just did that when Matt Hardy was on, Matt Hardy would have stayed with WWE. I mean, I'm not saying that I hate the reason why I hate that he's in AEW. I'm kind of pretty stoked that he's in AEW, and I can't wait to see the stuff that he does there. But yeah, they kind of messed up, and that's why they lost Matt Hardy. Because Matt Hardy wanted to do those type of matches where it was like a shot, like a movie shoot, like a vignette almost, not in a ring and stuff like that. And then they also did the same thing with Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, which was pretty, like, it was weird, but in a good way, because I love that match too. Like, and it wasn't even really a match. It was more of just like a storyline, shot for shot storyline almost. Like, there was really no fighting, but it was like crazy enough to where like at the end of it, I was like surprised. I was like, they really allowed Bray Wyatt to do that, and that's the thing, because come to find out from like rap sheets and stuff like that Bray Wyatt was the main guy who was in control of that whole thing, and it was his idea to do it that way, and they went with it. And I was surprised that when Vince McMahon saw that, he agreed with it, because Vince McMahon has the final say on every match, and if he doesn't like it, you're not going to get it shown. And so I was surprised that Vince McMahon actually went along with it, which is, well, surprising to me. So it was cool. And then, although some of the wins I didn't agree with, like, I don't know if Becky Lynch should have won that match. I'll be okay with it if they get a rematch and they allow I forget her name, but if they allow the other person to win on the next one. And then there was the Rhea Ripley fight with Flair. I don't know if I agree with Flair winning either. And I heard on Wrestle Talk News that the reason why they had these outcomes on these matches was because these were the baby faces, and they wanted the baby faces to win so that there was a positive look during such a negative time. I guess if people are rooting for them, but I'm in the camp that kind of rooted for the other person, so I kind of felt like they should have won. I mean, I just feel like watching Rhea Ripley fight and then Flair fight, I felt like Rhea Ripley had more talent and more strength than Flair, that she should have won. I don't know if Rhea Ripley should have lost that fight. I mean, on paper, she shouldn't have lost that fight. And then also, the only cards on there that I was not so up on was Goldberg, the Goldberg fight. That was kind of like cheesy. Having what's his name win, just because like the spear puts down everybody, but for some reason can't put down what's his name. Like I'm having a hard time remembering people's names right now, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering everything, but usually I would have their names and I would know their names, but right now, like on the spot, I just can't remember it. But yeah, that fight was kind of cheese. And then I felt like the SmackDown tag team match was kind of cheese. I was okay with the Raw tag team matches. only because it had the ending the way they had it. It was pretty cool. And and everything else from like Edge versus Randy Orton and on the night one's matches and stuff like that. I'm not gonna recall everything because it was just a lot to take. I mean, it's like 2 days to fight, and the only thing, and then the other part was the 24/7. The way they did the whole 24/7 championship thingy, it was a little weird and cheesy, right? But other than that, the rest of the show, everything else in the show, from the fights that I've mentioned and in night one matches and everything like that, night two matches, they were actually all pretty well. And the thing, and I'm gonna quote, I'm not really quoting, but from a post that I saw one of my acquaintances wrote on Facebook. He wrote that it looks like they all like put their hearts out on the line on these matches. I agree with it. Did like use it because sometimes when like on some of these pay-per-views, like you feel like a little lackluster from some of the fighters, like they were not trying their best during their matches. But on this one, because there is no crowd, there's no like energy from the crowd, you kind of had to put out a lot more. It felt like all of them were fighting their hardest and putting their heart on the line on these matches. So I appreciate that, and that was what was cool because some of WWE's latest pay-per-views are just not. It just was not up to par, and for something so different, something so weird, and something so that I'm not so used to the way they're doing it, and the way they had the Wrestlemania, I felt like they came up on top on this one, and so now, I mean, I enjoyed it. So, excuse me. Sorry, guys. So now it's going to be up to AEW to see if they could do their pay-per-view as well as WWE did theirs without a crowd. Although I did hear that AEW is actually complying with the whole quarantine situation, and they might not even be able to do any TV spots for a while. I know they already pre-taped like their next two Dynamite, so we're going to have 2 more weeks of Dynamite, but after that, they're not going to have any TV stuff. And I hear that WWE is actually not complying with the whole quarantine thing. So they're going to secretly tape and put out stuff for as much as they can. So AEW is going to take a little hit like that. And it's going to be hard for them to set up stuff for the pay-per-views. And I know that one of their pay-per-views, Double or Nothing, is coming up pretty soon. And they might not even be able to do that or they might have to postpone it. So that kind of sucks. So yeah, the wrestling world it's taking a big hit on this because of what's going on in the world, which kind of sucks. But I mean, it's good to see that people are stepping up their game while this weird situation is happening. So I appreciate that. And if you can, because I'm planning on doing this, is if you do want to support like your indie wrestlers or just one of your wrestlers that you like from any of these brands, buy their merch. I'm planning on buying some merch from AEW because, well, I kind of want to support them a little bit more, and plus they have a few of my now more favorite wrestlers over there than they do on WWE. I don't really have anyone in WWE that I'm rooting for anymore, just because they kind of buried all of the people that I'm rooting for. So, but I mean, I still watch it and I still have a good time watching it. I like to follow the whole storylines and stuff like that. But yeah, more of my favorite wrestlers are now on AEW, so I'm gonna buy some of their merch from AEW and support them a while during this weird time where they can't work and they're not. I don't know if they're getting paid. I know a lot of the indie wrestlers are not getting paid because they get paid per match and stuff like that. So yeah, so if you have favorite wrestlers out there and you want to keep them, living and making money, buy their merch because that's how they're gonna survive through this whole thing, especially when they're not getting paid because they're not having any matches. So yeah, just a little some to get them by during these weird times. But with that said, we have reached the 35-minute mark, and I know my food should be arriving soon. So I am going to end it right there. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, top notch. Rent it, buy it, watch it, whatever you could do, support that. WWE's Wrestlemania was a good watch. One of the best pay-per-views I've seen. One of the weirdest pay-per-views that I've seen, but one of the best pay-per-views that I've seen. Support your indie wrestlers if you can. Support your local food joints if you can. And I want to thank everyone that subscribed, everyone that watches. Also, if you're new around here, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe, and then tell a friend. We invite y'all with open arms around here. And yeah, well, I'll end it there with a stay safe. I love you all, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you liked the video you guys just watched. And if you did, please do not hesitate to hit that like button and that subscribe button. And then tell a friend. And if you guys want to see more videos, check them out below. I should have 2 other videos to check out. We have other stuff to see on this channel. And with that said, we thank you guys all for watching. And we'll check you guys out laters.